A full card prediction right here. A lot of really good fight cards, but in the first fight on the fight card, we got Ariane Carnelossi and Na Liang. This fight is a women's strawweight fight. Ariane Carnelossi, 12 wins and 2 losses, a minus 165, a slight favorite in the fight, 28 and a half years old. You already know. You see the height and reach. It is a humongous disparity between Ariane Carnelossi and Na Liang. I mean, 5'9" tall, and then 5'2" tall. That is a 7" height advantage for Na Liang in the fight. And then in the reach department, I mean, oh my god, a 6" reach advantage for Na Liang in the fight. If you have watched any of Na Liang's fights, she is relentless. She goes for like 10 takedowns every single minute. I mean, she's so relentless with how many takedowns she goes for over and over and over again. 15 wins and 4 losses right there. Most of her wins being finishes, no fights going all the way. 2 DQ wins, which I'm not really sure how that happened. But 9 submission wins and 4 KO TKO wins on her record so far. So pretty much every single one of her wins being a finish in the first, second, or third round. Definitely a grappler and has very good wrestling. She wants to get you down, and she wants to get a rear naked choke. She wants to get an armbar. She wants to get a triangle. She wants to get a submission in the grappling game. But that's going to be really hard to do against a girl like Ariane Carnelossi, who is just... She is so strong, man. You can't really take her down just because of the pure strength of Ariane Carnelossi. 12 wins and 2 losses. If you look at how she wins her fights, completely opposite fighter. 8 knockout wins, 1 submission win, and 3 decision wins. Inside the UFC, only 1 fight there, fighting Angela Hill in a relatively close fight. She was a favorite in the fight against Angela Hill, a very slight favorite, but did lose the fight by 3rd round doctor stoppage. Before that, third round knockout, decision win, first knockout win, decision win, second round knockout. She fought Gloria Apollo, who's also inside the UFC right now. Fought Amanda Ribas at the beginning of her career. That's her only other loss, which is, I mean, absolutely insane. But very good striking, really good takedown defense, and very good grappling as well. But the grappling and wrestling will go to Na Liang in the fight. Really relentless with the takedowns. Really relentless with how many submissions she goes for over and over again. But this is a clear striker versus grappler fight. If Na Liang can get her down and keep her there, she will win the fight by submission in the first round, or dominate the fight on the ground and win the fight by decision. If Ariane Carnelossi can keep the fight on the feet, she will win the fight by knockout in the first round, or win the fight by unanimous decision. It's just what's going to happen in the fight. And the thing I was kind of looking at here, because you kind of think Na Liang has very good wrestling, but you kind of know that Ariane Carnelossi is so strong for the strawweight division, and Na Liang is a little bit of a smaller fighter for the strawweight division. You saw her in the fight with Juliana Velasquez. Juliana Velasquez just used her size and her strength in the fight to just dominate her and defend every single one of the takedowns in the fight. So I think the exact same thing will happen in this fight with Ariane Carnelossi and Na Liang. I think Ariane Carnelossi will defend most of these takedowns, keep the fight on the feet for the most part, possibly get a knockout, maybe, just maybe, but I think overall, Ariane Carnelossi will defend the takedowns, defend the submissions if she does eventually get taken down, and keep the fight on the feet for the most part, and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. Should be a really good fight in the first fight on UFC 261, but after that, with Jeff Molina and Killian Iori. Jeff Molina is a grappler / wrestler, and Killian Iori, I mean, it was so hard to find film on this guy. I mean, I scoured the internet to find some film on this guy. All I know, he's super explosive, super powerful, and I mean, he has flying knees, he has head kicks, he has really good spinning back kicks, spinning back fists. I mean, he's just an explosive, powerful fighter in the flyweight division. 18 wins and 6 losses, a very slight favorite on the betting odds right here. You look right here, I mean, 6 knockout wins, 1 submission win, and 11 fights going all the way, winning them by unanimous decision. And then he got Jeffrey Molina, every single one of his wins, except for one of those fights, going in the first, second, or third round. Only 1 fight going all the way. In his last fight on Dana White's Contender Series against Jacob Silva, in a fight he won by unanimous decision. Before that, second round submission win, knockout win, and submission win, and then 2 losses at the beginning of his career. He has really good wrestling and really good submission skills. This fight is just who's going to keep the fight where they want to keep the fight, because obviously if Killian Iori keeps the fight on the feet, he's going to have a very slight height advantage and a very slight reach advantage. And in the striking game, considering how explosive and how powerful Killian Iori is, he will have the advantage in the striking game, but in the clinch, in the wrestling and grappling game, in the ground and pound, these submissions, everything like that, Jeffrey Molina, he really surprises me every single time he goes out there. He does very good in the wrestling and grappling game. So this is one of the fights Will Jeff Molina get the fight to the ground? Will he keep the fight on the feet? Who knows? That is the thing we're kind of trying to predict what's going to happen in the fight. If Killian Ari defends the takedowns, he will win the fight by unanimous decision, in my opinion. If Jeffrey Molina gets the fight to the ground, he will win the fight by unanimous decision, in my opinion. But Jeffrey Molina, I don't know, man. His wrestling in his last fight against Jacob Silva on Dana White's Contender Series was honestly not too good. But I saw Killian Ari in a couple of his fights against really good grapplers and really good wrestlers. His takedown defense was really not the best. So in this fight right here, I think Jeffrey Molina will get a couple of takedowns in the fight. Killian Ari will get a lot of really good shots off in the striking game in the fight. I think it'll be a really close fight. 29-28, 100%. It's a really close fight. In the second fight of UFC 261, could go either way depending on where the fight takes place. If he's in the grappling, Jeffrey Molina will win. If Killian Ari keeps the fight on the feet, he will win the fight. And in my opinion, the fight will go to the ground one or two times, maybe even 3 times in the fight. And overall, Jeffrey Molina will win the fight in a very close fight by 29-28 the unanimous decision. Again, this is a really close fight. Again, Killian Ari, if he keeps the fight on the feet, he will win. If Jeffrey Molina gets the fight to the ground, he will win. And I think he will get the fight to the ground and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. After that, guys, this is literally absolutely insane. We have Zhu Rong, who is 21 years old, started his professional MMA career when he was 16 years old. I am 14 and a half years old right now. 1.5 years later, for me, that is when this man started his professional MMA career, which is absolutely insane. And he's fighting Rodrigo Vargas, who is 35 years old and has way less experience than the younger, lengthier, taller fighter in Zhu Rong here. I mean, you look at Zhu Rong. I mean, 21 years old, 5'11" tall, on a 10-fight win streak. Most of his wins being KOs or TKOs or even submissions. I'm gonna have a 1-inch reach advantage and then a 3-inch height advantage in the fight. I mean, everything is looking right here that Zhu Rong is going to win the fight. I mean, he's just an absolute beast of a prospect coming from China. Those 17 wins and 3 losses. Had a couple losses at the beginning of his career, but since then, 3rd round knockout win, 2nd round knockout win, 2nd round submission, 5th round submission, 1st round knockout, decision, 1st round knockout, 1st round submission, and then 2 knockout wins in a row. The man is finishing pretty much every single one of his fights. Only one fight going all the way. That is absolutely insane. 11 knockout wins on his record so far, which is absolutely insane. In my opinion, Zhu Rong wins pretty much everywhere you look at the fight. In the grappling, I think it's very even in the grappling game, very even in the wrestling game, but of course, in the striking game, Zhu Rong will have that advantage 100%. The main way I see Rodrigo Vargas winning the fight, I don't really see him winning the fight, but if there was a way for Rodrigo Vargas to win the fight, it would be to get the fight in the clinch, make it more of a dirty, scrappier type of fight, get it to the clinch, go for some takedowns, go make it more of a grappling, wrestling type of fight. If he does manage to somehow, some way, get Zhu Rong to the ground, get on top of Zhu Rong, he needs to cut him with some elbows. If he can cut Zhu Rong with some elbows in the grappling and a wrestling game, I think he'll have a super good chance of winning the fight. But it's super hard to take down a guy like Zhu Rong, who has a really good wrestling and a really good grappling. Rodrigo Vargas is going to have a really tough time getting him down. But if Rodrigo Vargas can get him down and get on top of Zhu Rong, I think that will 100% increase the possibilities for Rodrigo Vargas to win this fight. But everything is pointing for Zhu Rong to win the fight. I mean, he's 21 years old, the taller fighter, the more lengthier fighter, the better striker, I mean, the more powerful striker, the faster striker. The only way Rodrigo Vargas is going to win the fight would be to win the fight in the clinch, in the grappling, in the wrestling game. Even though I don't think this is wrong, is the worst fighter in the grappling, wrestling, and in the clinch game. That is the only way he wins. Because everywhere, in my opinion, everywhere you look at this fight, I think Zhu Rong is the better fighter. I'm obviously going to be going with Zhu Rong to win the fight. But if there was a way for Rodrigo Vargas to win the fight, it would be in the clinch and in the wrestling game. But even if he does manage to get on top of Zhu Rong and win one of the rounds, just dominating on top of Zhu Rong, you guys have seen nothing yet. Zhu Rong is an absolute beast of a 21-year-old. That is insane. A height advantage, a reach advantage, very good takedown defense, really good striking, really good submission skills as well. So everywhere I look at this fight, have Zhu Rong winning the fight, so I think this fight will 100% be a finish in the first or second round, by first or second round knockout or submission. You really don't know how Zhu Rong is going to win, because he wins this fight pretty much every single time by finish, and a lot of wins by submission, and a lot of wins by knockout. So my official prediction for this fight would be Zhu Rong by KO TKO in the second round, but you never know with Rodrigo Vargas. He is 35 years old, way smaller, way less of a reach. It's just, there's no way I'm picking Rodrigo Vargas here, so 100% going Zhu Rong to win the fight by second round KO or TKO in the fight. After that, we have a relatively close fight. Dana Bottingero, 8 wins and 2 losses, and then Kevin and the TV Dot. This fight is a bantamweight fight. The betting odds for the fight, minus 150 and then plus 120 for the near even underdog and the slight favorite to win the fight. 31 and a half years old and then 28 years old. The height very similar, and the reach is also very similar. So no reach advantage, no real height advantage, no real age advantage either way. This fight is mainly going to be a striking fight. Kevin and TV Dot has some decent wrestling. We saw in the fight with Miles Johns. He has some very good takedown defense, defending 7 out of 7 takedowns from Miles Johns, who is really good wrestling. But as you guys already know, he did get knocked down in the, I believe it was the third or second round. But he does have some very good striking. Dana Bottingero also has some very good striking. You look at his last couple of fights inside of the UFC, he has shown some very good striking, 100%. In the fight with Yoto Ganetti, it showed some really good striking, getting the knockout in 3 minutes of the first round. With Haley Alatang, I have no idea how he lost that fight by 29-27 decision. I'm not sure if he lost a point or something like that, but I really, in my opinion, had Dana Bottingero winning the fight. I mean, 21 significant strikes to 14, 31-11, and then 33-11. I had no idea how Dana Bottingero lost that fight on the judges' scorecards, but whatever happened there, I'm not really too sure. But he is really good striking. 8 wins and 2 losses, 4 knockout wins, 2 submission wins, and 2 decision wins. If this fight stays on the feet and stays at range, Dana Bottingero is gonna win the fight. If this fight is more of a condensed fight, mainly in the clinch, or just a really close fight where Kevin Natividad tries to back up Dana Bottingero to the cage, and try to land those big shots when Dana Bottingero is right when his back is to the cage. That is where Kevin Natividad is gonna land the bulk of his shots in this fight right here. It's gonna be really hard. Dana Bottingero has very good striking. It's gonna be very hard to back up a guy like Dana Bottingero, who is really good striking. And if you're gonna be trying to back up a guy like Dana Bottingero, you're gonna get countered. So you're gonna be trying to back him up with some wrestling or with some pretty big looping strikes from Kevin Natividad in the fight. But Dana Bottingero, he's not gonna back up. He's gonna stay in the pocket and he's gonna throw whooping shots and try to knock you out. Now Kevin Natividad has some pretty good wrestling. Could potentially make it more of a wrestling grappling type of fight, but I don't think the wrestling advantage from Kevin Natividad is as big of the striking advantage that Dana Bottingero will be having in the fight. So I will be going with Dana Bottingero to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. In my opinion, the only way I think Kevin Natividad will win the fight is to mix up that wrestling and his boxing in the fight. Use the wrestling, go for some takedowns in the first round, and to make Dana Bottingero think, oh my god, is he going to go for the takedown, or is he just going to go for a right hand? You never know. Kevin Natividad just needs to go for takedowns in the first round. In the second and third round, Dana Bottingero is going to be a little bit more hesitant to go for those bigger shots and try to knock out Kevin Natividad in the fight. That's the only way I really see him winning the fight, using the takedowns in the first, and then winning the second and third round with those takedowns. So I think overall, the fight most likely will stay on the feet for the most part. Maybe one takedown from Kevin Natividad, but that's about it. So for the most part, I think the fight will stay on the feet, and because I think Dana Bottingero just has better striking overall, I will be going with Dana Bottingero to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. After that, we have Tristan Conley and Pat Sabatini. I was super surprised when I saw this. You got a 2-1 favorite in Pat Sabatini, the younger fighter. Doesn't necessarily have the height or the reach advantage against Tristan Conley. It definitely has the striking advantage here and the age advantage over Tristan Conley in the fight. I was super surprised when I saw this, but look at the Tapology predictions. Oh my god, 1,163 different Tapology predictions. 58% going for the 2-1 underdog in Tristan Conley to win the fight, mainly by decision. I was super surprised when I saw those Tapology predictions, considering he's a 2-1 underdog in the fight. So I'm really surprised right there. But I think the main way a lot of people are going for Tristan Conley to win the fight is because of his last fight with Michel Pereira. I mean, he beat Michel Pereira pretty much every single way in the striking game, in the clinch, and in the ground. I mean, it was a super impressive performance, and you see really good striker like Michel Pereira had pretty much double the amount of significant strikes in the fight. Then had a more significant strikes percentage than Michel Pereira. Didn't even get any takedowns. Michel Pereira was the one initiating the takedowns, and then Tristan Conley would just reverse the position, get on top of Michel Pereira. In one of the rounds was a 10-8 round, 31 significant strikes to 2 significant strikes, 18-13, and then 15-17. A really good fight from Tristan Conley. A very impressive fight from Tristan Conley, but in the fight, he mainly played more of a wrestling and clinch-based game plan. You look at how he's getting those strikes. 21% were in the clinch, 42% were in the ground. So the main way he's getting those strikes off were in the clinch and in the ground game. So in this fight with a guy like Pat Sabatini, he's gonna go out there and try to get a takedown, and try to get on top of Pat Sabatini and try to get a lot of ground and pound and win the fight by decision that way. But Pat Sabatini, if you guys do not know, has very good wrestling and is super good grappling as well. With 10 submission wins on his record, 2 decision wins and 1 knockout win. Tristan Conley also has a lot of submission wins on his record so far, with 9 submission wins, 4 knockout wins, and 1 decision win. In my opinion, I think the grappling is going to be very even. Maybe the power of the ground and pound shots from both fighters would be going to a slight advantage to Tristan Conley, but in the grappling game, it would be very even. I think it's be much harder for Tristan Conley to get a takedown on a guy like Pat Sabatini, who is such a really good wrestler, such a really good grappler, everything like that. So I think for the most part, we might see 1, maybe 2 takedowns from Tristan Conley in the fight, but overall, for the most part, the fight will stay on the feet. And in my opinion, Pat Sabatini having the age advantage, having the speed advantage, having the accuracy advantage in the striking game, I think all those things in the striking game will have him having the advantage in the striking game. So I think Pat Sabatini will have the striking advantage, and the grappling and wrestling will be very even. He's gonna have the age advantage in this fight as well. So I think this fight is going to be very even. I don't necessarily agree with the minus 225. I kind of would have Pat Sabatini around minus 165, minus 155, somewhere around that range. I definitely wouldn't have 58% going Conley. I definitely wouldn't have that happening. But overall, I will be going Pat Sabatini to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. Just using his wrestling and grappling defense against Tristan Conley to keep the fight on the feet and having that striking advantage to win the fight in the striking game and defend the takedowns of Tristan Conley and win the fight by decision. So that is my prediction. Pat Sabatini by unanimous decision, 29-28 unanimous decision. After that, we have a really good fight. Brendan Allen and Carl Robertson. This fight is a middleweight fight. Carl Robertson, really good boxer, and he has some pretty good grappling as well. 9 wins and 3 losses. 30.5 years old. 6'1" tall and a 74-inch reach. Brendan Allen, 25 years old. A little bit of a height advantage and a little bit of a reach advantage here. At 75 inches and 6'2" tall. A very slight favorite on the betting odds at minus 135 here. Coming off a devastating knockout loss, I believe in the second or third round to Sean Strickland in his last fight. Maybe it was even in the first round. I'm not too sure about that one. But he had a horrible game plan in that last fight with Sean Strickland. He went out there, that whole entire fight with Sean Strickland was spent in the striking game. He did not go for 1 takedown, not 1 takedown in the fight, which was a horrible move for him to do in the fight against a guy like Sean Strickland, who was so powerful, who was way better striking in my opinion than Brendan Allen. So that was a really dumb move in my opinion. But before that, beating guys like Kyle Dawkins, Tom Breeze, Kevin Holland, and Aaron Jeffrey, mainly a grappling performance in all of those fights right there. But in this fight with Carl Robertson, Carl Robertson has shown to have some pretty good offensive grappling. Now, I specify offensive grappling. Defensive grappling doesn't really have the best defensive grappling, but we saw in the fight with Marvin Vettori, he ended up getting Marvin Vettori's back and almost lashing in his own rear naked choke submission. But after that, Marvin Vettori got his back and then ended up submitting Carl Robertson in the fight. The tabloid predictions for this fight are insane, man. I definitely wouldn't have him as this big of a favorite. 90% going Allen to win the fight, mainly by submission. In my opinion, I either think that Carl Robertson is going to win the fight by decision, keeping the fight on the feet and winning a 29-28 decision win, or Brendan Allen will get the fight at the ground, making more of a wrestling and grappling based fight and win the fight by 30-27 unanimous decision. One of those two things, in my opinion, will happen in the fight. But Carl Robertson, if you look at his takedown defense, if we can find it right here, his takedown defense, let's see, his takedown defense is 50% right here. Both fighters have some pretty decent takedown accuracy. Surprisingly, Carl Robertson has better takedown accuracy than Brendan Allen does, which is absolutely insane. I mean, for Carl Robertson to have better takedown accuracy and pretty much the same exact takedown defense as Brendan Allen tells you a lot about Carl Robertson. He's a very, very good grappler and very, very good striker as well. But I think the grappling and wrestling advantage will go to Brendan Allen. The striking advantage will go to Carl Robertson in the fight. So it just matters where the fight is going to take place. If Brendan Allen can get the fight to the ground, land some ground and pound shots, and go for some submissions, and I do think he will win the fight that way. Possibly by submission, like a lot of people are saying right here. Like way too many people are saying he's going to win the fight by submission. But most likely, if he gets the fight to the ground, dominates it there, lands a lot of ground and pound, goes for submission after submission after submission, I think Brendan Allen will win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. Carl Robertson keeps the fight on the feet. I think he will win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. But overall, I think Brendan Allen, he always finds a way to get the fight to the ground. Even though in his last fight with Sean Strickland, he did not go for one takedown in the fight, which was super surprising. In this fight, I think he'll have a much different game plan. Then go for a takedown on Carl Robertson, get him down, then grapple and wrestle the whole entire fight, and get a boring, ground and pounding, grinding decision whenever Carl Robertson in the fight. So my prediction for this fight is Brendan Allen by 29-28 unanimous decision. After that, we have Dwight Grant and Stefan Zakulik. If you guys do not know who Stefan Zakulik is, he's mainly a wrestler, 12 wins and 3 losses. Started his career back in 2013. Has 3 knockout wins, 6 submission wins, and 3 decision wins. Only 1 fight inside the UFC with Ramazan Ameev. Also fought guys like David Zawada, who's also inside the UFC right now. So 2 really good fighters that he's lost to on his professional MMA record so far. But he's some pretty good wrestling and some pretty good grappling as well. If Stefan Zakulik can get the fight to the ground, he will have the advantage. He has really good wrestling and very, very good grappling. But Dwight Grant, Dwight Grant has amazing takedown defense and really, really good wrestling of his own. I mean, it's very, very surprising to say, but I'm not joking. Dwight Grant has 100% takedown accuracy. Not joking, look right here, 100% takedown accuracy inside the UFC, and then 78% takedown defense, when Stefan Zakulik, who's mainly a wrestler and grappler, only has 20% of his takedown accuracy. I mean, that doesn't seem too good for a guy like Stefan Zakulik going out there, and he's going to be trying to get the fight to the ground as soon as possible. So I think this fight will stay on the feet, and if this fight stays on the feet, I mean, who's going to have the advantage? It is so obvious who's going to have the advantage. That is obviously going to be going towards Dwight Grant to have the advantage in the striking game. 3.4 significant strikes landing each minute. Pretty much the same exact striking accuracy. Very, very good striking defense as well. I think Dwight Grant will 100% have the better striking. Will have a really, really good takedown defense and really good grappling and submission defense from Stefan Zakulik in the fight. He went in a firefight in his last fight with Daniel Rodriguez. Getting knocked down on Daniel Rodriguez, and then Daniel Rodriguez got 3 knockdowns on Dwight Grant, which was absolutely insane. Before that, beating Alan Joban, Carlo Pederzoli, and Tyler Hill, showing some amazing takedown defense and some very, very good striking. So in this fight, I think he will defend the takedowns from Stefan Zakulik, keep the fight on the feet, and make it more of a striking and kickboxing fight at range. And I think he will win the fight by KO TKO in the second round right here. He has a lot of power in his hands with 10 wins and 3 losses, 7 knockout wins, and 3 decision wins. But in this fight, I think he will finish the fight by second round TKO. I think there is definitely possibilities for Stefan Zakulik to win the fight. But with his last fight inside the UFC, his wrestling and his grappling didn't really impress me. So I think in this fight, Dwight Grant will defend the takedowns and win the fight by TKO in the second round. After that one, we have a really, really good fight in the main prelims of UFC 261. We have Randy Brown and Alex Oliveira. This one is a very, very interesting one. Randy Brown, the taller fighter, the more lengthy fighter, the younger fighter, so 30.5 years old, 6'3" tall, 78 reach, so 1.5 inch longer reach. I believe like 4 inches taller than Alex Oliveira, a couple of years younger than Alex Oliveira. So he's gonna have the height advantage, he's gonna have the reach advantage, he's gonna have the age advantage as well. Not necessarily the experience advantage, because Alex Oliveira has been fighting for quite a while. 22 wins, 9 losses, and 1 draw. More than 30 professional MMA fights. Been fighting inside the UFC since 2015. Fighting Gilbert Burns, fighting Donald Cerrone, fighting Tim Means twice, fighting Yancy Medeiros, fighting Carlos Condit, Gunnar Nelson, Mike Perry, Nicholas Dalby, Max Griffin, I'm not even sure how to say the name, Shavkat Rakhmonov, fighting all these really good guys inside the UFC. But in this fight with Randy Brown and Alex Oliveira, I mean, Randy Brown is so well-rounded. I mean, we kind of used to know him for more of a wrestling-based game plan. Go out there, try to get a lot of takedowns, and kind of keep the fight on the ground, get some ground and pound, and go for some submissions. But he has really evolved in the last couple of years, winning in a striking fight in the first round with Nico Price, getting a knockout win over Brian Barberena, getting a submission against Warlley Alves. I mean, what? A submission win over Warlley Alves? That is absolutely insane. And in this fight right here, he's evolved so much. His wrestling has evolved. His striking has evolved. Everything about this man has evolved. Whereas Alex Oliveira, his striking, his wrestling, his grappling has all been decreasing as the years go on. And Randy Brown has been getting better and better and better every single time he goes out there. So in this fight with Randy Brown and Alex Oliveira, even in the striking game, I will be going with Randy Brown to win the fight. And look at these strikes landed per minute, 3.67 for Randy Brown, and then 2.87. Pretty similar striking accuracy. The striking defense goes for Randy Brown, but in the striking game, I think it's very even. I will give a slight edge towards Randy Brown, considering the height and the reach advantage for Randy Brown, and in the wrestling game as well. Alex Oliveira has shown to have some really good wrestling and some pretty good grappling as well. But in this fight, I think Randy Brown also will have the wrestling and grappling advantage. Wherever you look at the fight, in my opinion, Randy Brown will have the advantage. So I will be going to Randy Brown to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. In the striking game, I think he's the better striker. I think he is the better grappler, and I think he is the better wrestler. Everywhere you look at the fight, in my opinion, Randy Brown is the better fighter, the younger, the taller, and the more lengthy fighter. So I'm 100% going Randy Brown to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. And then after that, we go to the main card of UFC 261 with Anthony Lionheart Smith and then Jimmy Crute. This fight is a light heavyweight fight. Man, am I excited for this one. Anthony Smith, 34 wins and 16 losses. That is literally 50 professional MMA fights on his entire record. He's not even that old. Only 32 and a half years old. The taller fighter, the more lengthy fighter, is going to have, I believe, a 3.5 inch reach advantage and then a 2-inch height advantage over Jimmy Crute in the fight. Only 32 and a half years old, so no real age advantage for Jimmy Crute in the fight as well. But if you have watched any of Jimmy Crute's fights, the man is a beast. Probably one of the best fighters coming out of Australia. Probably aside from Alexander Volkanovski, but the man is an absolute beast. 12 wins and only 1 loss. Getting a first knockout win over Modestas Bukauskas. A first on Kimura submission win over Michael Juszczyk. Knocking out Sam Alvey in the first round. Getting a submission on Paul Craig. That is the craziest thing I've seen on his record so far. Getting a submission on Paul Craig, who has 12 submission wins on his record, has been submitted only once, and that one loss that he got by submission was against Jimmy Crute. Absolutely insane. Before that was on Dana White's Contender Series. Got a first round knockout win. Pretty much every single one of his fights being a finish. 5 knockout wins, 4 submission wins, and 3 decision wins. In this fight with Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute. You look at these statistics for this fight. It looks a lot better for Jimmy Crute. But the reason the statistics for the fight look a lot better for Jimmy Crute is obviously because Anthony Smith has been fighting guys like you look at his record, fighting John Jones, Glover Teixeira, fighting Alexander Rocky, fighting Alexander Gustafsson, Volkan Oezdemir, Mauricio Hua, Rashad Evans, all of these really good guys at the top of the light heavyweight division. That is the reason you look at these striking right here. And Jimmy Crute way better in the striking game, way better striking accuracy, way better striking defense. But the only reason that is because Anthony Smith has been fighting some amazing competition. But in the grappling game, it's obvious. Come on, it's pretty obvious. Jimmy Crute has the grappling advantage, 4.3 takedowns every single one of his fights, 75% takedown accuracy. But the thing is, even though he has really good wrestling, really good takedowns, landing 4.3 takedowns every single one of his fights, Anthony Smith has 50% takedown defense, and that's pretty good. That's not the worst takedown defense, especially if he's fighting these guys at the top of the light heavyweight division. But in this fight, I think if Jimmy Crute can get the fight at the ground, he will win the fight. And if the fight sits on the feet, it'll be very even. But considering Anthony Smith will have the height and reach advantage of 3.5 inches, and then a 2-inch height advantage in the fight, I think Anthony Smith will do better in the striking game. But we saw all those fights with Alexander Rocky, with Glover Teixeira, and they were dominant, man. Alexander Rocky and Glover Teixeira went for takedown after takedown after takedown. You look at these stats in all those fights right there. With Alexander Rocky, he got taken down. Wow, he didn't get taken down anything. What the heck, bro? I'm completely confused about this one. I forgot. It was mainly a clinch-based fight. With 12 minutes of total control time from Alexander Raki in the fight. And then in the fight with Glover Teixeira, it was an absolute domination. 7 minutes, 8 minutes of total control time from Glover Teixeira. I think the exact same thing is going to happen here with Jimmy Crute and Anthony Smith. If the fight stays on the feet, it would be very, very even. Considering the high and reach finish from Anthony Smith in the fight, but Jimmy Crute is one of the best grapplers and wrestlers I've ever seen in the light heavyweight division by far. The man is an absolute beast, so I think he will get the fight to the ground every now and then in the fight, and possibly get like 5 takedowns in the entire fight. But Anthony Smith has really, really good takedown defense, so this should be a really, really good light heavyweight fight right here. But I think Jimmy Crute will get a lot of takedowns, will get Anthony Smith down over and over and over again, get a lot of ground and pound, go for some submissions every now and then. And overall, in my opinion, considering it is a 3-round fight, I have Jimmy Crute winning the fight by 30-27, possibly a 30-26 unanimous decision. After that, guys, we have a really, really close fight. The betting odds for the fight, -115 and -115. You guys already know what I'm talking about. Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall 2. The first time they fought was like 10.5 years ago. It was way back at Uriah Hall's like 3rd or 4th fight at the beginning of his career. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, his 5th fight as a professional MMA fighter. Chris Weidman won the fight by first-round knockout. But things have changed a lot since that last fight 10.5 years ago. But the betting odds are really, really close. They're both 36.5 years old. A little bit of a height advantage for Chris Weidman and a little bit of a reach advantage for Uriah Hall in the fight. But in this fight right here, a lot of people are saying that Uriah Hall is going to win the fight by knockout, especially on these tabloid predictions. 64% going Uriah Hall by knockout, so he could definitely get a knockout, especially if Chris Weidman is not careful going in for the takedowns. Uriah Hall can just go in for an uppercut, go in for a right hand, go in for a knee, go in for a front kick. Anything like that is a good way to counter those takedowns from Chris Weidman in the fight. So all those things can play huge advantages for Uriah Hall in the fight. But if you look at these statistics from both fighters in their careers inside the UFC so far, Uriah Hall, obviously, you would think is a better striker, but you look right here. Chris Weidman is pretty close in the strikes landed per minute. 3 strikes landed per minute and 3.3 strikes landed per minute. The striking accuracy is also relatively close, especially for a guy like Chris Weidman, who's mainly a wrestler and grappler. The strikes absorbed per minute, Uriah Hall is absorbing a little bit more strikes, and then the defense is very, very even at 53% and 52%. But then we go to the grappling and wrestling, and come on, Chris Weidman with 4 takedowns every single 15 minutes, 47% takedown accuracy. But the thing is, Uriah Hall with 70% takedown defense is going to be very, very tough to take down a guy like Uriah Hall. But in this fight right here, Chris Weidman has some pretty good striking as well. A lot of people kind of think of him as the All-American, as the wrestler. He's going to go out there and go for a lot of takedowns and win the fight by decision. That's what a lot of people are thinking he's going to do in this fight. But most of his wins are coming by KO TKO, 6 knockout wins, 4 submission wins, and 5 decision wins. So, I think he can keep it relatively even in the striking game. Get Uriah Hall to the clinch and get him down every now and then in the fight. So I think Chris Weidman will get 2, maybe even 3 takedowns in the fight. Control the fight on the ground, get a lot of ground and pound. Not really go for any submissions, just a ground and pound on the ground. Get control time and everything like that. So I think Chris Weidman will get the fight to the ground as soon as possible and dominate the fight on the ground and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. Or Uriah Hall keeps the fight on the feet, defends the takedowns, and gets a nice right hook knockout, an uppercut knockout, gets some flashy spinning back kick knockout, whatever the case may be. So in my opinion, it's either Uriah Hall goes out there and gets a knockout in the first or second round, or Chris Weidman gets the fight to the ground, gets the fight to the clinch, does anything like that, and wins the fight by 29-28 or 30-27 unanimous decision. In my opinion, one of those two things is going to happen in the fight. And when you got a guy like Uriah Hall, he is very, very powerful, but you cannot always rely on that power from Uriah Hall. You do know he does have the power, 14 knockout wins, 2 submission wins, and 4 decision wins. I think this fight will go all the way. I think this will be very, very tough for Uriah Hall to defend all the takedowns from Chris Weidman. And even if he does defend the takedowns from Chris Weidman, even in the striking game, I think Chris Weidman will make it relatively even, make it more of a clinch-based game plan. But in this fight, I think he will get a lot of takedowns, keep the fight in the clinch, and overall, I have Chris Weidman winning the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. But again, Uriah Hall can definitely land one punch or one knee or one kick, whatever the case may be, and get a knockout in the first or second round. Overall, I will be going with Chris Weidman to win the fight by 30-27 or 29-28 unanimous decision. Guys, we have Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Andrade. This fight's for the UFC flyweight belt, a 5-round co-main event right here. Valentina Shevchenko, her only losses inside of the UFC to the greatest female MMA fighter of all time, in Amanda Nunes, by split decision and unanimous decision in the fight. Minus 400, heavy favorite to win the fight. But if you look at every single one of her fights that she's had inside the UFC, pretty much every single time she goes out there, she's like a minus 1,000, minus 2,000 favorite. I mean, every single time she goes out there, she's a humongous favorite to win the fight. But this time, she's not that big of a favorite. She still is a heavy favorite, obviously, but only at minus 400, where usually she's crushed in that realm of minus 1,000, which is just absolutely insane to think about. But she is 33 years old. Gonna have the height advantage, just gonna have that reach advantage, and with that height advantage and reach advantage is going to come a lot of opportunities from Valentina Shevchenko to land a head kick. I mean, you saw that head kick knockout win over Jessica I mean, it was absolutely insane, considering Jessica Andrade is 4 inches smaller than Valentina Shevchenko, and Jessica Andrade probably is going to go out there and try to get some takedowns, try to get in the clinch. If she ducks down just a little bit, goes for the takedown, Valentina's just going to put up a nice high kick, and if she lands, man, she is going to land, and she's most likely going to put Jessica Andrade away in the first, second, third, whatever round. I mean, Valentina Shevchenko, amazing Muay Thai skills, amazing kickboxing, amazing striking, amazing grappling. I mean, everything about Valentina Shevchenko is just absolutely amazing. I mean, let's look at this stats from Valentina Shevchenko. You look at the fight with Jennifer Maia. She got 5 takedowns in the fight right there. Had double the amount of strikes. Had 9 minutes of total control time in the fight. You look at the fight with Caitlin Chukagian. 3 takedowns. Dominated that fight on the ground, and then just got her in the crucifix and just started pounding away with ground and pound shots, and TKO'd her in the third round. With Liz Carmouche, you kind of think Liz Carmouche is a really good wrestler, but she completely eliminated the wrestling from Liz Carmouche. 0 out of 4 takedowns. She defended every single one of the takedowns from Liz Carmouche, and even landed one of her own. It had 7.5 minutes of total control time, having doubled the amount of strikes yet again. With Joanna Jędrzejczyk, had 5 takedowns in that fight. I mean, she's just an absolute beast. 8 minutes of total control time on Joanna Jędrzejczyk. An absolute dominant. Sorry about that. An absolute dominant performance there. Her wrestling is there. Her grappling is there. Pretty much everything about Valentina Shevchenko kind of screams out a champion. She's just an absolute beast. Her takedown defense and her takedown accuracy is pretty much the same exact thing from Jessica Andrade. You look right here, 75% and 76%, and then 58% and 57%. So the wrestling and grappling looks very even. The only thing that's a little bit different is how many takedowns that Jessica Andrade actually gets in her fights. Very good wrestling from both fighters in the fight, but in the striking game, the striking accuracy, and the striking defense, the kickboxing, the Muay Thai, everything like that from Valentina Shevchenko, the height advantage, the reach advantage, all those type of things are gonna give the advantage, of course, to Valentina Shevchenko in the striking game. The only way I really see Jessica Andrade winning the fight in the striking game would be to get the fight in the clinch. I think if she can get Valentina in the clinch and kind of keep her there using that strength, I mean, she is so strong in this division right here, but she's just so strong. If she can get her into the clinch in the fight, she definitely has a little bit more of an increased chance of actually winning this fight, because she is just so strong. If she gets a fight in the clinch and just lands a lot of body shots and goes for the head every now and then, maybe gets a couple of takedowns on Valentina, she could have a very good chance of actually winning this fight and being the first person to actually take the belt away from Valentina Shevchenko in the flyweight division. But Valentina Shevchenko just has a really good boxing, really good Muay Thai, really good kickboxing. I mean, her kicks go so high. She's just an absolute beast. It's probably the second best, in my opinion, female MMA fighter of all time. 20 wins at 3 losses. A lot of finishes on her record so far. You look way down here. 7 submissions, 6 knockout wins, and 7 decision wins. I think this fight will go all the way. Jessica Andrade could get knocked out by a head kick KO. I'm diving down for a takedown in the fight, but I think this fight will go all the way. Valentina will defend the takedowns, keep the fight out of the clinch, because if the fight stays in the clinch, that just increases the chances for Jessica Andrade to actually win the fight. So if she gets the fight out of the clinch and out of the grappling and wrestling game and keeps the fight at range with Jessica Andrade, that is going to be an easy win for Valentina, because her striking at range is absolutely amazing. Having the height and the reach advantage, having the Muay Thai, the striking, the boxing, everything in the striking game, she's going to have the advantage. So I think overall this fight will go all the way, and Valentina Shevchenko will continue her reign as the flyweight champion of the UFC and win this fight by 50-45 unanimous decision. Guys, we have Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas. This fight, a 5-round co-main event. Weili Zhang, a 2-1 favorite on the betting odds right here. 21 wins and only 1 loss, and the only 1 loss on her record. None of them coming inside the UFC. Her only 1 loss. Her first ever fight as a professional MMA fighter. Since then, right now is on a 21 fight win streak with 10 knockout wins and 7 submission wins on her record. I mean, she's an absolute beast. So I mean, come on. So is Rose Namajunas. A lot of people, since her recent fights, with Jessica Andrade, with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, kind of know her more of a striker, but if you look at how she wins her fights, 8 submission wins on her record, 3 decision wins, and 1 knockout win. She has very, very good grappling. On Dana White's, not Dana White's Contender Series, on the Ultimate Fighter, had 3 submission wins in a row, a Kimura submission again, and a first round rear naked choke submission. Most of her wins by submission, but in the recent couple of years, she's been showing that amazing striking, just dominating Joanna Jędrzejczyk, getting a knockout in their first time around back in 2017, and then getting a dominant decision win against Joanna Jędrzejczyk again by unanimous decision. Then got knocked out by Jessica Andrade, who just used that brute strength to pick her up and slam her down. But since then, she got a nice split decision win against Jessica Andrade. Her striking is very, very good. She will have the height and the reach advantage over Weili Zhang in the fight. Now, in this fight, if you look at the statistics from Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas, it is a very, very close in the wrestling and grappling game. I kind of don't really think we'll see much wrestling or grappling from Rose Namajunas or Weili Zhang in the fight. I'm considering Weili Zhang's takedown accuracy is not really the best, only 23%, but man, her takedown defense, oh my god, 100% takedown defense. That is amazing. She has never been taken down one time in her UFC career. Rose Namajunas with 53% takedown accuracy. So I think in this fight, maybe just maybe we'll see 1, maybe 2 takedowns from Rose Namajunas. I think most likely Zhang Weili will keep the fight on the feet. And make it more of a striking and kickboxing fight. Because if the fight stays on the feet, we know Zhang Weili has very, very good kicks and really, really good leg kicks and really, really good body kicks. So I think those leg kicks and body kicks are going to play a humongous factor in the fight. With Joanna Jędrzejczyk, half of her strikes were to the leg and the body, 35% to the leg of Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Tisha Torres, 44% to the leg of Tisha Torres. With Danielle Taylor, you look right here, 40% to the leg. Pretty much every single one of her fights, more than 1/3 of her strikes are going to the leg of her opponent. Really good leg kicks, so really good body shots. And in this fight with Zhang Weili and Rose Namajunas, I think it'd be a super, super good idea if she goes out there and tries to chop the legs of Rose Namajunas, considering she moves around the cage so well, and that movement is a humongous factor in how she actually lands those strikes. If she does not have the movement, I think her striking is gonna go down way down the drain, because if Weili Zhang just goes out there and lands a buttload of leg kicks and a buttload of body kicks, I think that'll 100% kind of influence and kind of diminish the striking from Rose Namajunas, because she's such an elusive, such a bouncy fighter. Every single time she goes out there, she's bouncing every single time. The whole entire fight, she just keeps bouncing, going for that right straight, going for the right hook every single time. So if she can kind of diminish that speed and elusiveness from Rose Namajunas, and the movement from Rose Namajunas, that'll be a humongous factor for Weili Zhang in the fight. So I think she will be able to do that in the fight, and I think that is 100% gonna be the key factor for Weili Zhang in the fight. I think this fight will stay on the feet. The first and second round, in my opinion, are gonna be the closest rounds in the entire fight. I'm considering Weili Zhang will not be able to implement those leg kicks and body shots in the first and second round, but they will kind of start to set in the third, fourth, and fifth 5th round, in the later rounds of the fight, and I think that is where Weili Zhang will come back in the fight and win the fight by decision. But the first and second round are going to be very, very close. I think Rose Namajunas will win the first round and the third round, and then Weili Zhang will come back in the third or in the fourth and fifth round and win the fight, just using those kicks and using the kicks to the leg and kicks to the body to kind of diminish the movement from Rose Namajunas in the later rounds. So I think overall this is going to be a super close fight. I just watched the Weasel's video and he had Rose Namajunas winning the fight. It is definitely a really, really close fight right here, but I definitely have Weili Zhang going out there and winning the fight by 49, probably 48, 47, a unanimous decision. A really, really close fight in the co-main event right here. And then after that, guys, we have the main event. Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, and Jorge Game-Bred Masvidal. A 5-round main event right here in the welterweight division. Kamaru Usman, 18 wins and 1 loss. There's only 1 loss on his whole entire record way back at the beginning of his career against Jose Caceres in his second professional fight. Ever since then, I'm getting 17 wins in a row, joining the UFC in 2015. Decision win. I'm beating guys like Leon Edwards, Warley Alves, Sean Strickland, Sergio Moraes, Damian Maia, Rafael dos Anjos, Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns. All these are really, really good fights. I mean, he is clearing out the division. You look at the top 5 of the welterweight division. He beat Colby Covington. He beat Gilbert Burns. He beat Leon Edwards. He didn't beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but he did beat Jorge Masvidal. He did beat all these other guys like Damian Maia, like Tyron Woodley. All these guys in the top 15. He is clearing out the division one by one, over and over again, and he's fighting in a rematch against Jorge Masvidal. In my opinion, he doesn't really deserve the rematch right here, to be honest. But they are giving it to him, so he's got to take advantage of this rematch right here. But Kamaru Usman having the height advantage, having the reach advantage in the fight, will definitely play a factor here. He's also going to have the age advantage over Jorge Masvidal. Will he necessarily have the striking advantage? The only thing I really see Kamaru Usman doing really good in the striking game in this fight would be to the jabs. I mean, his jabs against Gilbert Burns were amazing. I mean, he outstruck Gilbert Burns, which is the most incredible thing I've ever seen from a guy like Kamaru Usman, who we expect to go out there and foot stomp you for 5 straight rounds. But he went out there and showed he's not just a wrestler, he's not just a clinch fighter. He goes out there and his striking is really, really good, knocking out Gilbert Burns, I believe, in the 3rd round. Not even going for a takedown in the entire fight. Gilbert Burns was the one going for a takedown. So that is one thing to show that Kamaru Usman, his striking is evolving every single time he goes out there. Won the first and won the second round, and then got the knockout in the 3rd round. So a dominant win over Gilbert Burns. Before that, getting a dominant win over Jorge Masvidal. There were a couple of things in the fight where Jorge Masvidal would have had a better chance of actually winning the fight. Obviously, he took the fight on 6-7 days, whatever the case may be. Not the best day's notice, because Gilbert Burns was supposed to fight Kamaru Usman, and then Jorge stepped in on short notice. That could play a factor. That could have played a factor in their last fight. But I don't think there's going to be much of a difference in this time around. The last time was 50-45 on all judges' scorecards. Kamaru got him next to the cage and just foot stomped him the entire fight right here. It says 2% to the leg right here, but I think 100% of the strikes were to the foot of Jorge Masvidal, because I don't even know. Do they count into the body? I guess I'm not really sure. But he landed at least 100 strikes that were foot stomps on Jorge Masvidal. But he pretty much won every single one of those rounds. But if this fight isn't just straight up in the striking game, Jorge Masvidal's wave winning the fight increases exponentially. Jorge Masvidal, that's the thing. Will he keep the fight in the clinch? Or will he keep the fight out of the clinch and not in the clinch? Where Jorge Masvidal or where Kamaru Usman is gonna play? Where Kamaru Usman is gonna have the biggest advantage? I don't really think so. Jorge Masvidal has some pretty decent takedown defense, but Kamaru Usman is just gonna go out there, get you in the clinch, and keep you there. Foot stomp you, body shot you, do whatever these things are. I don't know, whatever. Shoulder strikes that kind of became a lot more popular since Conor McGregor got, I don't know, busted Donald throwing his nose up. But I think in this fight, it's going to be pretty much the same exact thing as the last time. Where Kamaru Usman is just getting the fight in the clinch and just foot stomping him for the entire fight. Just using those little shoulder strikes, getting a lot of body strikes. But who knows? The last fight with Gilbert Burns, he did not even go for one takedown, didn't get the fight at the clinch, maybe for only 1 minute in the entire fight. So, Sorry about that. We don't really know if Kamaru Usman will keep the fight in the clinch. If he does, he's going to win the fight. If he doesn't, I don't really know. I think the striking is going to be very, very even. I know that is a little bit of a weird thing to say. I'm saying the striking is going to be very, very even, but Kamaru Usman's having the reach advantage. He's going to have the height advantage, and his striking has improved so much. So since his striking has improved so much, he has that clinch, he has the wrestling, he has all those factors to win the fight. He has the strength advantage here, so he has the height advantage, the reach advantage, the age advantage. Every single thing is pointing towards Kamaru Usman to win the fight. There are some instances in the fight where Jorge Masvidal could win the fight by knockout in the striking game, knocking out guys like Darren Till, knocking out guys like Ben Askren, getting a TKO win over Nate Diaz. Who knows? He could get the finish here, but I think the fight will go all the way, and Kamaru Usman will dominate every single one of the rounds in the clinch and in the wrestling game. So I think Kamaru Usman will win the fight by 50-45 the unanimous decision.